7, 8, 9, 10. 7, 8, 9, 10. Seven, 8, 9, 10.
This CBS 17 Sports Extra is presented by Honda Dealers of the Carolinas.
Welcome to another week of CBS 17's Black and Blue Huddle. Alyssa Ray, Chris Clark, I'm Casley Sims. A lot to get to today. The Panthers are off of what can you say about that loss? Pretty bad loss to the 49ers. They did get stumped.
I think we all lose credibility because we all had the Panthers winning. So we take the L on that one.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Some news came in earlier today. Cam Newton will be going to see a foot specialist about this injury that's been bugging him for a while. What do you think about that?
This is not good news for the team, obviously. And after Kyle Allen's performance on Sunday, people are now questioning what's going to happen with this team. Obviously, whenever you send someone out to see a specialist, that's not good. They were hoping that he'd be farther along in his recovery. He has been rehabbing. Coach Rivera, you think he's tired of answering this question in the press conference?
Oh, he's going to be so happy when he gets up there and they start asking him questions in that little roundabout thing. And you're right, with that injury to him. Kyle Allen, the starter. You got Will Greer backing him up. No more questions about who's starting. No choice no choice. So in Kyle we trust, and hopefully get it done. And that's not a bad thing because he's not going to be doing this looking looking for number one over his shoulder anymore, but still,
right.
A Liz Frank injury, that's something that, I mean, that could take maybe, a couple of months. I mean, I'm saying he's not taking another snap this year.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Do you think he sits the rest of the season?
He's done. There's no reason for him to come back this year, especially to push it, to hurt himself again. Fully 100% healthy is what everybody always wanted with Cam. Here's the problem, and this is the one that I was kind of looking at for a while. $20 million cap hit next year for a guy that hasn't played in almost. I mean, it's going to be a year. I mean, he came out halfway through last season. $20 million on a maybe, or a $2 million cap hit if you cut him. So, how much do you like Cam Newton?
And that's taking a big risk too. I mean, this is the 2015 MVP. We've seen what he can do. He's a monster when he's healthy. You know, they talk about his age, but how old's Russell Wilson? He's having a great year. You know, you're comparing apples to oranges. I understand.
I don't think 30 years old anyway for quarterbacks.
Thank you, or in general. But you know, a lot of people are worried about him and his age, and it would be a risk. But at the same time, it's like, how much do you believe in his recovery? And I think that'll also determine what does the specialist say. How quick can he be back? And then I think they want to see him 100%. And the time frame with this, I'm glad I'm not in the Panthers front office, because the time frame for them to make a decision, as you mentioned, $20 million on the salary cap, that's a big hit.
That's a lot to take on, an if, ands, or a maybe. And also, when you're talking about him as far as the age thing, no, 30 at a quarterback, not. But you mentioned Aaron Rodgers. He's sat for 3 or 4 years behind Brett Favre, never took a hit. And you're talking about a guy in Cam Newton that took twice as many hits as a quarterback did with that read option. So you can't really compare him to a normal quarterback taking hits. You have to almost compare him to a running back taking hits. And what's the age that running backs start to break down? 30. There you go. So that's the reason everybody's looking at that magic 3-0 is, I don't know, buddy. I'm just kind of wondering about you. I hope he comes back. I mean, I think him healthy, the biggest problem to cover in the game. But like you said, we'll have to see what the doctor says and see exactly how long this recovery will take.
So the Panthers match up with the Titans this week. The 49ers, I'm going to go back to them. The 49ers did a bunch of things that the Panthers would like to do. Run the ball effectively, shut teams down with their defense. The Panthers did have a bright spot. Christian McCaffrey did his thing, 130 yards on the ground, scored a touchdown. But this week they get the Titans at home. Did a little research. The Titans are the only team the Panthers have never beat at home. So could be a bit of history this week. What do you think about going into this game for the Panthers?
I think that if they dot all their I's and cross all their T's, they should be able to beat them. I said in the preview yesterday, Ryan Tannehill strikes fear in the hearts of nobody. I mean, you're talking about a service with, sorry, Ryan, I'll say it to you. I mean, fans out there, But I am.
He's not going to the game Sunday.
No, she is. So.
I'll be fielding questions.
No, but I mean, you say Brady, everybody goes, oh, you know. You say Rodgers, everybody goes, oh my goodness. You say Tannehill, I thought he was still playing for the Dolphins. And no, I started the last 2 weeks. Now I say that knowing full well he's only thrown 1 pick, and he's got 5 touchdown passes. So serviceable, game manager. You know, you're not looking at Ryan going, go out there and win one for us, buddy. No, he's going to be turning around, handing the ball off, and he's going to let his defense get short fields. And if you do that and you play a complete game, then I mean, he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. So if you don't take care of what you need to take care of, he will definitely beat you. But that being said, Panthers are coming back, and I do believe they're going to come back as the team that's ready to, prove themselves that they aren't what happened out in San Francisco. And I think that they're going to come out ready to tear somebody's head off. And if we've seen anything in Miami, Tannehill doesn't do well under pressure. Pressure up front, I think you might force him into creating some mistakes.
And as you mentioned, Tannehill not really established. I mean, he hasn't really done a whole lot. You know who hasn't either? Kyle Allen. And we saw some colors that I think some fans have been oblivious to. He went from 0 interceptions to 3 in 1 game. And we're not just talking about any team here. I think the 49ers proved they are one of the best teams in the league right now. I mean, they really are.
That's still up in Boston, best team, if you really want to get, that. But right there, like, 1, maybe 1A, right now, I'll give you that.
Certainly proved themselves. And what I think is funny about these, I talked to our NFL insider, Mark Thomas, this morning, and he said, the Panthers are looking at their AFC equivalent almost. And when you think of it like that, and what I think specifically is in the backfield, you have Derrick Henry on one side, you have Christian McCaffrey on one side, and we heard from the Titans locker room about just how dangerous Christian McCaffrey can be.
He's an 11-man job. Pretty much every reporter in here has asked me the same question about Christian McCaffrey, so obviously he's having a hell of a season.
Over 1,000 yards in 7 games.
I mean, he's going to do that probably the rest of his career. He's already been the best player in his position. I mean, if you watch the tape, run, pass, protect, he do everything, man. He's an elite player. He's a great player.
I mean, it's going to take the whole defense, all 11 on the field. You know, we got to rally to him. You know, one of the best players I saw in a long time, you know, just playing running back, you know, he could do it all. So, you know, that's one of our keys on defense. We got to stop him, and, you know, I feel like we preparing the right way, and we're going to be able to stop him. So.
The Titans have the 4th-ranked scoring defense, so the Panthers are also going to have to take advantage of red zone opportunities. They can't afford to not score when they should.
Yes, and the Titans, just like the Panthers, have a pretty good run game, and the Panthers have struggled stopping the run. I think the Titans will hand the ball off to Derrick Henry a ton, try to get Tannehill going, throwing those short passes, throwing it to A.J. Brown, those guys they got out there going. So who do you think wins in this game?
I think the problem is the run game for the Titans looks kind of similar to the guy that torched them last week in San Francisco is the problem. Misdirection, and you got a guy that can break one for 99 yards. Yes. And I don't mean just get separation. I mean keep on separating after you get out of the through the into the second tier. I think they got a severe problem stopping that run game. And if they don't, it's going to be a quick game because they're going to keep handing the ball off and going to the well till it's dry. The problem is that's a big back. I don't know if that well's got a bottom to it just yet. Yeah. So they need to establish that early. Get on top. You don't want a Titans team hanging around. You don't want one of those nasty leave it up to one final play kind of things. No, get it over with early and have everybody down on the field looking up at the clock with 2 minutes to go, up by 17 is the kind of thing that obviously the coaching staff and everybody would want. But I don't think it comes down to that. I think we're sitting there doing this on one side of the football or the other, either looking for a stop or looking for a play from Kyle Allen and the Panthers offense to try and win this thing.
And I don't know. I mean, the Titans have been sacked the most in the league. So if the game comes down to Ryan Tannehill having to put the ball through the air, I mean, I'm giving the Panthers a good chance.
And along those lines, I mean, the Panthers defense is a veteran defense, and we've been singing their praises all season, as have other people, and they were humiliated out in San Francisco. I mean, that was an embarrassing loss for them as well. You can't blame it on the Panthers offense. I mean, their defense gave up, 51 points here. And you know that they don't sleep well knowing that they gave up 51 points, and they will come out this weekend, and I think the defense will show what they are made of, and I think they are going to put a lot of pressure on Tannehill.
I agree. So, you guys, we talked about this last week. We'll talk about it again this week. How are your fantasy football teams doing?
Terrible. It's awful.
I took a flyer on somebody being able to stop Jimmy G, and wow, I told
you last week this game would have been one of those games.
I think we all torched Jimmy G last week.
Yeah.
He really showed us. Yeah.
He showed up last night as well, but
my fantasy team is still tanking for Tua.
Still tanking.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins will get a win before my fantasy team does. Yeah,
okay.
I don't know if I'm invited back to the league next year, because maybe to just take my money.
Okay.
I have 2 wins.
Well,
we're bad.
I'm doing iffy as well, but every week I'm giving you guys 3 guys you might want to start, 3 guys you might want to sit on your bench. It's your weekly start 'em, sit 'em. Here we go. First up, Minnesota Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is in the midst of probably the best stretch of his career, minus his last game against the Redskins. The Redskins game wasn't bad, he just didn't throw any touchdowns, which hindered his fantasy output. Cousins has thrown for 275 plus yards over his last 4 games and could increase that streak to 5 when the Vikings meet the Chiefs for an NFC-AFC showdown. It's no secret that the strength of the Chiefs are on the offensive side of the ball, which means Cousins should be able to put up solid numbers in this one. Also, you would think teams buckle down more when they're at home, but not the Chiefs' defense. Their defense has allowed an average of 20 fantasy points to quarterbacks when they are in Arrowhead Stadium. Fortunately for Cousins, that's where they'll be this weekend. Next up, Philadelphia Eagles running back Jordan Howard. Ooh, I love revenge games. Ooh, I love revenge games. And boy, do we have one in this game. Jordan Howard's Eagles will face off against his former team, the Chicago Bears, as the 2 battle for position in the NFC. If there's one thing I learned about fantasy sports, is that narratives always win. And for Howard, I'm sure he's had this game circled on his calendar. The Bears possess a strong defense, but has struggled against the run this year, even allowing 29 fantasy points to Oakland's Josh Jacobs in Week 5. Quarterback Carson Wentz will need Howard to show up to open up the passing game against that ball-hawking Bears secondary. Complimentary football, baby. You gotta love it, and the Eagles gotta have it. Howard is coming off a game in which he carried the ball 23 times and scored twice, once on the ground and another through the air. I'm not saying Howard will score twice in this one, but his success will be key to the Eagles getting a win. Last but certainly not least, Chicago Bears wide receiver Allen Robinson. Wow, 2 players in one game. Imagine that. The Eagles secondary has been picked on all season, and I'm not sure that it will end this Sunday. Allen Robinson is capable of doing big numbers, but has been strapped by shoddy quarterback play. Quarterback Mitch Trubisky has battled injuries and hasn't been the same quarterback we've seen help lead the Bears to the playoffs last season. And if there's a game to get back on track, this is the one. The Eagles didn't make any trade deadline moves to improve their secondary, so if what you've been seeing from that defense is what you'll get. Robinson will line up as the Bears' go-to target for sure, and they'll likely need him to show out if they want to win. Don't expect anything from the Bears' ground game. The Eagles' defense has allowed 10 touchdowns to receivers lined out wide, and that's where Robinson runs 61% of his routes. If he's been on your bench all season, or if you've been avoiding him in daily fantasy sports, this week is the week you might want to rethink that. Fire him up. So, like I was just telling Chris, I don't know about one of my picks, Allen Robinson. We're going to need Mitch Trubisky to have a pretty good game for Allen Robinson to have a good game himself.
Is it too late for a complete overhaul of my team? I mean, I don't know if I need to just start checking the waivers. I'm terrible.
I mean, at this point, the waivers are probably dry anyway. But
I've been looking and confirmed.
yeah. Okay, so Week 9, Panthers, Titans, final score. What you got?
I'll say 2017, give the edge to the Panthers at home, but I think it's going to come down to whoever's got the ball last.
Okay.
I was going to say 21-7.
21-7.
21-7 Panthers.
Okay.
I think at home, after that loss, I think they're going to come back hot. And I think Christian McCaffrey is going to get back to his game.
Okay. I'm going to say around the range, I'm going to say an odd score, something like a 16-10 score for, even though that's not an odd number, but it's kind of an odd score.
A lot of field goals there.
Yeah.
Somebody's working out.
Yeah.
You got a safety in there?
Yeah. I'm going to go 16-10. It's going to be one of those crazy games where things go wrong. It might be a little sloppy.
Keep it interesting.
Yeah, but I think the Panthers will pull it out. They will do enough on the defensive side to get that win. Like I said, Titans' offensive line is terrible. So we'll see what happens.
Get to that quarterback.
Yeah. For another week of Black and Blue Huddle, I'm Casley Sims, Alyssa Ray, Chris Clark. See you next week.